Manav Chopra, Head Technical Analyst at Networth Stock Broking, is now with us. Manav, good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking out time for us. Can you just talk to us about the markets and why essentially a lot of technical analysts believe that 7,771, yesterday's low, will be an important level to watch out for?
See, actually, if you go to see the kind of the movement that we saw in the markets yesterday after a sharp gap down opening, a strong reversal formation. So I think we should not actually look at the lows, but we should have a broader short-term range. The levels that we are looking into is 7,770, the yesterday's low, and a 20% buffer on the downside. Because not necessarily we've seen historically that where the markets actually form a strong reversal formation, we generally don't make a bottom at that price, but close to that price level. So I still believe, the kind of decline that we've seen from its recent peak of 8,300, I think the markets are nearing a close bottom, but we do need some sort of a price bottom in place to actually confirm that, which is still anticipated. We did anticipate some sort of a reversal formation, but looking at today's pattern, I think that has been negated. So one should definitely at least wait for the near-term perspective before we get in, you come into a conclusion. But I think 7,750 and 770, these are the important support and the immediate support for the near term, and which I think should likely hold in the near term.
Right, but if they don't hold on, where do we see the next support? Does that 7,500 low that we hit about a few months back, that comes into picture again?
Not necessarily. I think after that the immediate support is coming to 7,680. Pankaj, I don't really expect markets to go one way down close to the levels of 7,500. Definitely the structure has become weak. Eventually we may be moving on the lower side, but I think we will see a short-term rebound rally, and then thereafter we may see a series of declines. So at these current levels, we are not recommending clients to go aggressive shorts, but we are looking this decline or next 100 points decline as an opportunity to buying stocks at lower levels and maintain a very stock selective approach is what we are recommending at the near-term perspective.
Right, but do you think a lot of stocks that have actually fallen may not recover? I mean, generally the trend that we see?
Absolutely. I think pharma for a medium-term perspective seems to have topped out, the kind of decline that we have seen into most of the pharma packs. I'm talking on the weekly and the monthly chart perspective. So I think pharma may not really see its previous peak, but for the near term, I think there'll be a sectorial change happening. Earlier, pharma would be a defensive pack where, in such kind of a decline, money would be shifted to pharma, but we are not seeing that happening. In fact, there are series of decline happening in pharma. So I think in the near term, some aggressive pockets would be eyed into. We've seen a good outperformance in some of the banking space in past 2 to 3 trading sessions. So I think stocks like Axis Bank, SBI and ICICI, these three stocks have declined by over 30% from its all-time highs, and historically we've not seen all these stocks decline more than 35% at one go. So keeping a buffer of 4-5% for these large cap stocks on the lower side, one should definitely look for buying these stocks in a phased manner, but not buying at one go. But that should be the ideal strategy for the near term.
Manav, just stay on with us, about 30-35 seconds remaining for closing. If you look at the markets, of course not a great day, 134 points down, and there can be a lot of adjustment today after the close. Vedanta down about 4, Idea down about 4, ICICI down 0.3, Idea down about 3.6. Axis Bank up slightly on the higher side. Sun Pharma continues to move down, 2.8% down. Ambuja Cement down about 4%. Adani Ports, after results, has never looked back. It's down 3.6. ITC down about 2. Tata Power down about 0.2. Tata Steel is down 2%. PNB is down about 1% or so. ONGC down 5%. Reliance down 3.6. Kane India down 5%. 137 for Kane India. Yes Bank down 2.7. L&T down about 0.6. Infosys down 2.6%. NTPC is down 1.5. Coal India down 3.7, 327. Bharti Airtel down 1.2. That's the closing bell. 331 for Bharti Airtel. Dr. Reddy's one of the top losers. 5.6% decline. 130 points down on a provisional basis for Nifty. Z Entertainment down about 0.7. HDFC Limited 1.6% down. BPCL down 2.9. Cipla down about 1.3%. IndusInd Bank down 3%, 892, really sold off at the end. It was about 910, 915 throughout the day. Maruti up about 1.8, HUL up about 0.4, Power Grid down 1%, Tech Mahindra down 1.2, HCL Tech down 3.5, Lupin down about 4%. Asian Paints down 4%. Top loser of the Nifty pack on your screen, 3,303. 5.6% decline for Dr. Reddy's, 197 rupees down, 1.8 million shares traded on that name. Kane India down 5%, 137.1, 2.5 million shares traded for Kane India. ONGC down about 5%, 3.8 million shares traded, 237 rupees. Since morning, actually, this name was weak. Lupin down about 4%, one of the top losers, below 1800 level right now for Lupin. Ambuja down about 3.5%, 197 for Ambuja Cement. Reliance Industries put a lot of weightage in the market in second half, 3.7% decline. Vedanta down 3.690, close to 90 rupees for Vedanta Limited, 8.6 million shares. Adani Ports 266, 3.6% in terms of decline. ACC down 3, HCL Tech down 3.5, Coal India down 3.5, IndusInd Bank down 3.4, BHEL down about 3, Idea down close to 3, BPCL down 3%, Sun Pharma down about 2%, Yes Bank down 2.75, Infosys down about 2.5, Asian Paints, ITC, Tata Steel, State Bank of India down about 2% or each. Very, very strong selling pressure coming in some of the names where earnings have been a miss or they have been very, very heavily owned. What was gaining in? So auto as a pack did well. Hero MotoCorp was up about 2%. Maruti was up 1.8, Bajaj Auto was up 1.8, Bank of Baroda was up 1.3. Bank of Baroda is looking in very, very strong despite poor set of numbers. M&M 1% higher, Axis Bank was up about 0.7%. Some of the mid-cap losers before we go to Manav again. So Hindustan Zinc was down about 7%, 144 for Hindustan Zinc. HPCL, that's a results impact, 736 for HPCL. DLF down 5%, 108. Motherson Sumi down about 6%, 266. Reliance down about 9%, that's Reliance Communication I'm talking about. JM Financial down 4. Eros Media down about 7%. PTC India down about 14%. Orchid Chemicals, results impact down about 5 to 5.5%. Some of the names that saw a lot of volume action as well as price action. So if I look at these names, Eros, HPCL, Motherson, all over. SpiceJet is one name that was down 4%. Jet Airways was down about 4.5%. Maybe that's the impact coming in from the Indigo Aviation IPO. Marksans Pharma down about 4.5%. Let's look at Indigo as well. It was a stellar listing, no doubt about it. But towards the end, slight bit of gains given up. But the high of the day was about 900. So about 20-25 rupees is essentially what this name has given up. We were talking to Manav. He's still with us. Manav, you just briefly mentioned about the pharma pack. Can you just tell us about Dr. Reddy's? Somebody is selling it in the last 3-4 days. Do you think that this selling pressure will likely or is likely to continue from here on?
Actually, I think it will continue for at least next few trading sessions. The most important thing is that the decline has accompanied by much above average volumes. You see historical volumes into this chart of last 3-4 months. It has exceeded it. So there has definitely been an intensive selling pressure into this stock price. And also to look into is that the stock has actually breached its long-term averages after a good 3.5 years. So something has happened into this stock which eventually we will see this over the period of time, but nevertheless I think in the immediate basis you may see the stock even going below 3200. I don't see the stock if there is any short-term pause or a rebound rally, I don't see the stock exceeding 3400 on the upside. The most importantly is that the medium-term trend has been hampered, and important thing to look is that how the stock reacts close to the levels of 3200 in the near term.
Right. What would you make of Sun Pharma and the fall over there?
Sun Pharma, actually I've been mentioning to a lot of clients that Sun Pharma is in a broader distributive patterns. It's nothing but a head and shoulder that we've seen on the weekly chart, and the breakdown this week has been with a sharp gap down opening. So on the upside, Sun Pharma will face series of resistance close to the levels of 750, 780. But I think in next few trading sessions, this stock is likely to test the levels of 650. And 650, 620 is the lower targets that we are looking into this in not on immediate basis, but possibly in a month or so.
Right. How would you look at some of the banking names that you just mentioned? So can you first start with Bank of Baroda? Despite markets what they are doing, despite results being very, very poor, do you think this name has made a near-term bottom at about 141 levels?
See, for Bank of Baroda, I would just like to see some more price change into this stock before I, want to confirm anything on a larger term perspective. But for the short term, yes, the stock is in a good has formed a good short term bottom close to the levels of 155, 160, and from there, I think the kind of a momentum that the stock has taken with volumes. For the short term, the stock would definitely test the levels of 180, 85, which is its previous peak. But for the medium term confirmation, we still need some bit of more price change and more volume action to be considered. But if I like to mention some more about the banking space, SBI and Axis Bank, these are the two banks which are showing a good strength at these levels, and I don't see much of a downside. So from this sector, my top pick would be Axis Bank, ICICI from the private sectors, and SBI from the PSU.
Right. What would you make of the strength that we are seeing in auto? So whether it's a Tata Motor, a Hero, a Bajaj, anything that you like over there?
Actually, we are coming up the kind of momentum that we've seen in the auto space. I think this will likely continue in the near term. But the kind of a momentum that we've already seen in Maruti, we are recommending clients to book profit in Maruti, in fact, on higher levels. And we are the kind of formation that we are seeing into the stocks like Hero Moto and TVS. I think we see much of an upside into these stocks, at least of 15-20% in next few months. So I think booking profits in Maruti and getting into Hero Moto and TVS would be an ideal bet for next medium term perspective, at least someone who has a holding period of at least 3 to 6 months.
Right. And you think auto is doing well because names like Sun Pharma, Lupin have all taken a back burner? Can that also be a reason?
Absolutely, Pankaj. If I'm talking, if we talk a little bit on a larger term perspective, after 7-8 years of bull rally in pharma space, what I understand, the fund allocation would kind of get into the sectors which are quite aggressive, like the banks and the autos, and somewhere that would balance out for the near term to medium term perspective. So banking and autos are one sector that one should actually get into, because these stocks have declined historically, and the overall trend for this sector is quite strong for the medium term to long term perspective. So banking and autos should be bought at dips and should be bought for a medium term horizon.
Right. How would you look at some of the FMCG names after results? None of these names have done well. So whether it's a HUL, ITC, or Asian Paints, all of them have looked particularly weak.
From the FMCG space, I think we'll have to give some time to this sector for at least near-term perspective. HUL is one stock that one can just look to. It has formed a strong base around the levels of 770, 800. But for the near-term perspective, I think this sector would overall just be range-bound. I will not expect much of a upside momentum into this stock. Yes, the HUL has declined from its recent peak of 900, but historically we've seen that HUL takes time to bottom out, and it may just make a base and then eventually it may move ahead. But when we're talking of allocation of funds into the FMCG, we are not getting too aggressive into the FMCG space. But the other stock that I like to highlight is Marico Industries. In fact, this stock has seen a very good breakout from its recent patterns, and the stock has been a good outperformer recently. We are expecting at least an upside of at least 15-20%, and the stock has its previous peak of 460, and I think it would exceed that even, and eventually it may also move ahead. So the stock is currently priced close to the levels of 400. We are expecting an upside target of 460 to 500 in possible 6 to 8 months.
Right. Manav, thank you so much for taking out time for us, and happy Diwali to you and your entire team. And always a pleasure talking to you.